point lead by halftime. Of course, they finished with 29 points, and they improved the record of 5-4, have won 3 straight, and now for their last 5. Rudy Carpenter joins us now on the right to the guest line. Rudy, if you look at his performance, that being Kyler Murray, 13 of 20, 154 yards. His 15-game streak of touchdown passes has ended. He was sacked 3 times. But as you look at his performance, what would be some takeaways that maybe a non-quarterback like me would not see?
Just once again that the people that commentate like I do are usually idiots that have no idea what I'm talking about. Because again, I come on this show, every week, and I say, typically, if you go look at the box score, if you do not watch a Cardinals game and you just go look at the box score, you can usually tell if they won or lost just by looking at Kyler's stat line. And if Kyler has a stat line of, 20 of 25 for 250, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and another rushing touchdown, typically that's a game they're going to win. I would even go further and say typically what I've said in the past is he pretty much has to play that way every single game in order for them to even have a chance to win. Yesterday, Kyler played, I would say, at best, a very, very, very pedestrian game. And yet, the game, wasn't really ever even close. For the majority of the game, I think that's probably somewhat fair to say the Cardinals had control of the game. And so, I just think it goes to show that, at least this game and maybe the last couple, the Cardinals have done a really good job finding other ways to win, whether it's from running the football, whether it's from special teams, whether it be, playing great on defense.
Rudy, I think the biggest blessing in disguise, to your point, with Kyler not having that kind of game, was pedestrian game, whatever you want to call it, very vanilla game, is for them to find other ways in order to win games. I thought watching Kyler was one of the better games of him keeping his eyes down the field and not running and just dumping the ball off on some checkdowns, throwing outside, and not really relying on his legs to have to go make plays with his legs.
Yeah, I actually think that Kyler's done, a pretty good job of that for most of the season, even though it might feel like at times he in what I would say doesn't remain a passer at all times. Sometimes he's a little quick to maybe run the football. But again, I think that, Kyler is getting better at trusting his teammates and allowing other guys to make plays. And when I say allowing, I think really it comes back to trusting guys to make plays. I think, over the last 4 years or so, Kyler hasn't always been able to trust the guys around him to be where they're supposed to be and to be there on time and to make the plays that they're supposed to make. That hasn't always been something that's happened on a consistent, regular basis. But I think, as time has moved on and as he's become comfortable with some guys, I think he's allowing himself to trust these guys and know that they're professionals too and they're going to make plays.
Rudy,
pass protection, I think, had been something that had been good the last couple of weeks. I thought it had been good for yesterday for whatever reason. They gave up 3 sacks, and that's probably something they're going to look at as a team in meetings today.
Rudy, I think what I hear you saying is he's starting to become a good quarterback versus that outstanding athlete that can throw the ball, or that guy that can throw the ball and also can run. I mean, just his quarterbacking or game management, whatever you want to call it, is starting to come to fruition. At least, is that what I hearing you say?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have.
We lost
I
him.
know you guys probably get annoyed that I say that, but I do think to a certain extent that things, look a little bit differently on the All 22 than we see sometimes just in the TV copies. Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's apparent. There's a big difference between playing quarterback, being a good quarterback, and then in my viewpoint, just being a thrower.
Sure.
And I think at times Kyler has just been a great thrower and a great runner, and he hasn't always been a great quarterback.
Right.
And, as he gets older and gets more years in the league and more experience along, with being with the same wideout, same tight ends over a longer period of time, again, I think he's starting to trust those guys. I also think that, Kyler's been playing in the same offense basically his whole career through college and through the NFL up until this coaching change with JG and obviously Drew Petzing and these guys. And to me, it looks like Kyler's starting to trust these guys and this staff and this scheme a little bit more. I think Trey McBride has been a big piece of helping that happen too.
Rudy Carpenter is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Let me just follow up because I wanted to, when you just referenced McBride.
2 minutes.
How do you see him when he first got to the Arizona Cardinals to where he is right now, and how quickly, Rudy, he has ascended as being a star tight end?
Well, I mean, a couple things. When you come in as a rookie, I mean, it's not like you all of a sudden, as you play longer in the NFL, you get more talented. I think Trey McBride has always been this talented. Why they drafted him in the second round, I believe. But I think, again, from a confidence standpoint, maybe he was a little unsure of himself. But I also think from an opportunity standpoint, he wasn't the number one guy. Whether it was Zach Ertz or other guys who have been here, that was the number one guy. And I think, ultimately, Trey McBride has now gotten his feet wet. He's gotten comfortable. He understands the scheme. He understands where he's supposed to be lined up. He understands what he's supposed to do in the play. But now he's at a point where not only does he know what his responsibility is, but he's learning the nuances to do the things that aren't in the playbook, like how to beat man coverage or where the best place to be is in different zone coverages when he's running routes, whether he should run out of the route or hook himself up just based on defenders and the scheme of the defense and the route concept. And because he's able to play faster mentally, that obviously allows him to play faster physically. And in my viewpoint, much, much more confidently, which is why you're seeing him not just make the regular routine plays, you're seeing him make the great plays now.
Rudy, appreciate you. Real quick, we got about a minute, but can you just give us your take on what you saw, if you got to see some of it at least? I know the rain changed everything, but Oklahoma State win. That was big for Arizona State to go on the road to win like that. Dominant.
A huge win, a huge win. And, again, if I would have bet money on this season, I would have already lost it all. I didn't have the ASU Devils win more than 4 or 5 games. Cam Scadawoo's playing really good. To me, he's got to be in the top 5, at least in the Heisman race. In my viewpoint, I think having Levitt back was good. He played well. Athletic kid, got out of trouble, made some plays. But I think the really big takeaway of this season so far is that Kenny Dillingham and Charlie Ragle and this coaching staff is coaching their asses off. And, to me, Dan Lanning and some of these guys are doing a great job and deserve Coach of the Year. But I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these media guys throw in a vote or at least an attaboy to Kenny Dillingham, because he's done an amazing job with this team.
Absolutely. Rudy, thanks for the time, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Rudy Carpenter joining us here. Thanks to All City Towing. Join the team with the largest towing company in the state. That's All City Towing. They're hiring a ton of different positions. You're looking for a new career for 2025. We are in November, a couple more months. We're talking about 2025. So go to the website, allcitytowing.com, search careers. All City Towing, where your future is on the move. Speaking on the move, Saints are going a different direction as they have fired Dennis Allen. We'll also talk about Week 9 wrapping up in the NFL. You're listening to Rock'em and News with Jimmy